Hello, my name is Alexander Morari, and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into our podcast about Central and Eastern European companies that are in pre-Series A stage. Our mission is to help such companies in their quest for first business successes, quest for investors, clients, or all combined. And our guest today is Lech Kaniuk, the CEO and co-founder of SunRoof, whose mission is to speed up the global transition to renewables by developing beautiful roofs that by generating electricity will cover the energy demand of the entire building. And as of today, the company has implemented around 100 roofs in Sweden, Norway, Poland. They are on a expansion spree all over Europe. Hi, Lech.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yes, thanks. Lech, let's dive into the first round, the solution, the project, or the general context as well, right? So it's been said that sun is the source of endless energy, and your idea to make another successful business of yours is to harness this energy. So tell me, where's the company right now, and what is the current status of your business in Poland or Central Eastern Europe as such?
So Poland is our first country we expanded to outside Sweden, and it's going really, really great. I think it's over expectation, I think, and it's actually a very big market, and we see a lot of opportunities, not only for our roof, but also for like all the products that and services we want to provide. We launched recently Germany with an ex-Tesla manager. We see that there's a lot of interest there as well. And we're getting already contacts and partnerships coming up, and people that want to do something with us in Central Eastern Europe. So really exciting. And I think that very, very soon, as today we have more than 100 completed roofs. Then I think Poland will deliver more than 100 roofs only in a month or so. So it's really exciting. It goes really, really well.
To set a more general kind of context for the conversation we'll be having, a modern classic of the solar industry said that having solar panels is like having money printers on your roof. Do you agree with his statement?
So I would say that partially yes. So the traditional kind of PV installation you put on top of your roof, that's usually also sold in a smaller size. So it's actually not printing money for you, but it's more of saving money, I would say. But when you do a sunroof that you have the whole roof is filled with solar, and usually they actually produce more energy than the house needs. And what we want to do is actually take that excess energy and sell it for the customer. That's what I would call a money printing machine for the customer.
What about the regular question? Very often you could hear that whether or not solar roofs will work effectively in Poland. And Poland is known not to be a very sunny country, all in all.
Yeah, I would even take Sweden as the even better example, where it's even more north.
Yeah.
And so like if we take even Sweden, where you have even less sunlight, it actually takes not more than 3 to 5 years for the incremental investment you need to do between a regular roof and a sunroof to be paid back, and that's without subsidies. So I think there's no other PV or energy source that pay itself off within 3 to 5 years. That's I haven't seen any, so I'm happy to get any information if someone has something that pays back even faster. And I mean, Poland is similar in terms of sun, but it's still very, very good. And so Poland, for example, it's actually cheaper to buy a sunroof than first build a roof and then put a PV installation on top of that. And that's just purely mathematics and the financials, and not talking about the aesthetics and less carbon footprint because you use less material and so on. So yeah, I think it's we've actually come to that point that is actually cheaper than a roof plus solar, because usually if you look at other our other competitors, so our main competitor like Tesla, it's still a very much of a premium product, and I would say it's still much more of a design product with a cool feature than actually that you know, you're buying a solar installation, because using thin foil solutions and technology, it's less efficient, it's a little bit more expensive. So it's a much more of a design thing, but we have something we think looks good, but is also has a great ROI.
Yeah, not just aspirational purchase, but also functional. That's what right? That's your idea. Interesting. And speaking of energy to produce, so I understand you said 3-5 years for an ROI of implementation of one SunRoof kind of project, and this is in Polish reality, right? In Polish pricing and
Poland, Sweden,
expenses.
Yeah, so,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's make a quick case study for Polish market. So imagine I have a detached single family house with more or less 100 square meters of roof area. Is it realistic?
If 100 square meters of roof.
Yeah. Okay. So and let's say this is traditional double sloped roof. Now, how much do you think would it be? Would it cost to the equipment itself and installation, like a turnkey project?
So for
the range, of course,
yeah, for a quite simple roof, you would pay something between 30 and 40,000 Polish zlotys. So divide that with 4, or basically, so let's say in the range of 8 to 10,000 euros. And a sunroof would cost around 20,000 euros for that size. Now, that size roof, you would have almost 20 kilowatt installed power. And to get 20 kilowatt power, you would first, with a top mounted system, then I think you would end up, if we are like 80, 90,000 Polish zlotys, then a roof plus PV installation would be 110, 130. So you're basically looking at 10,000 euro versus 12 to 15,000 euros.
Yes. Okay. And how long would it take to complete the installation from, first visit of your installation team until a client can use the equipment?
So it's actually very quick. It's I would say it's basically as quick as building a regular roof without a PV installation, because our modules are quite large, so you have quite few elements you're putting on the roof. Also the construction below that we're doing, the roof battens, it's also less of that construction, so it goes quite quickly to construct that. I would say doing a whole roof, that's from start between 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay, and probably the last one, just to cap it all up, is there any post-installation maintenance expenses that you think worth mentioning?
So it's actually not so much more than with a regular PV installation. Usually rain kind of get most of it. So from time to time, you would probably need to clean the roof as you would do with a normal PV installation. Yeah, that's depending, of course, on the circumstances. You might live in an area which is very polluted, so of course then you would have more, but it's like washing the windows.
Yeah. So technically, this is not complicated for users themselves. So it's self-sufficient. Okay.
Yeah, and you don't have moving parts and stuff, so it's it should be very, very maintenance free.
Interesting. Before we move on to your sales channels and distribution kind of partners and so on, it's really interesting to have a go at the marketplace idea that you have. And I understand you are developing this for Swedish market and plan to implement it to Poland soon, I guess. What's the current status with this in Sweden, and what are the long-term goals for the marketplace that you have?
So, so we're still working on the technological solution for that. So to create, first of all, kind of a virtual power plant, you need to have a device that can monitor and steer. So you have kind of connect, control device. And to speed things up, we bought a Swedish company called Red Logger. So it's from the Renewable Energy Data Logger. And based on that, we're building new functionalities, both hardware and software, to be able to connect the roof with batteries and all together into our cloud-based system, so that we can actually manage that. And I think that maybe this is part of or partially Elon Musk timeline, but I actually think that we are able to show next year that we can connect roofs both in Sweden and Poland and sell the excess energy that these roofs are producing, and make our customers make money from the excess energy.
Yeah. That's where the money printer part can become true. I understand. That's the idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think you are aware that marketplace alone sounds like an idea for a separate company. And so, logical question: do you plan to put this into the new company, and more importantly, under a new brand? Because it seems to me that you could become, or this marketplace could become, a place where not only energy produced by SunRoof installations, I mean your own companies, but also from other vendors might join. Of course, if you gain the momentum and coverage in Europe, at least.
Sure. So it's highly possible that we would look for a specific name for the energy trading companies that we will need to have. Because in all countries, to be able to trade energy, you have to have a license. And I think the natural part would be to have a separate company. But if that will be called SunRoof Energy or something else, I think that's going to be a surprise next year.
Okay, something in store, definitely there. Who do you think are your most promising distribution partners? Or would you go by installing using your own installation teams?
So I'm quite sure that to be able to get the volume we are aiming for, that it's necessary to have a lot of partners that can join in. And you could divide the partners into different kind of partners. So you can have cooperations with providers of heating pumps, for example, and companies that are selling, for example, heating pumps. They are talking very often with customers that are planning to build a house. So they haven't chosen the roof yet, or they haven't taken the final decision. So, and the heating pump is using a lot of energy, so it makes a lot of sense to have your own energy source, basically. So and we can provide that. So that's a very good partner. We've done such a partnerships with a few companies in Poland, for example. Also with a company called Red Snake, which has also a kind of heating mats that you implement into the walls. And we've already have successfully completed a few projects. Then we also see that companies that are selling roofs today, like traditional roofs, this is also kind of a nice product for them, because they see what's happening on the regular PV part. So you have a lot of sales there, and they're still selling traditional tiles. And there hasn't been super much innovations in roofing tiles. So this is kind of a new thing that they could actually implement. And since they have both products and also installations team, this would be also a very nice partner for us to cooperate with, where you actually can have a partner that can do both the selling part and also the installation part, and we can provide them with all the materials, all the systems, and all the calculators and configurators. So that's a very good partner. We have also signed contracts with house manufacturers. So we have a few first house manufacturers that are very interested. And actually, I think the first roof being built by a house manufacturer with contract will be in Germany, where we started not long ago, and I think that will be a house built in Q1. So that's also a very nice partner for us that has kind of high volume of roofs. They're same roof type, so that's also a brilliant partner.
Would developers be good target for you as well as direct clients?
Yes, so we are also having different discussions, negotiations, and partnerships with real estate developers and different kind of real estate developers. It can also be multi-story houses and commercial buildings as well. But we also have, I think, like 6 or 7 projects where a house developer is building 40, 50, or even 100 houses in one area. And that's also basically just replicating the same house module over and over again. And that's a perfect actually kind of partner for us, because if you're building so many houses, you can get of course a higher scale, so we can do that a little bit better price. But we can also provide with the storage, connecting all the houses and actually the whole area into one microgrid, so that the area is actually basically self-sufficient and could at a few months, a year, with today's technology, be an off-grid whole area where they have electricity also for I don't know, the lights on the streets.
Yeah,
and so on.
yeah, interesting. Speaking of storage, by the way, how do you plan to storage the excess energy?
So we're partnering up with car manufacturer, a motorcycle manufacturer, and I hope also a boat manufacturer, to show our customers that when you have a roof that is producing more energy than the house is for heating and electricity, then it makes totally sense to have a electrical vehicle, because then you're producing your own power. And so we kind of want to have a cooperation with them. But this is also not only to show our customers that electrical vehicles today can also be beautiful, practical, and look really, really good and be fun. So you don't have to compromise on anything. We also want to get the batteries from those cars in the future, because at some point you have a degradation in the batteries. So they get, when they lose 20-30% of their efficiency, they start to be not that good in automotive application, because you don't have the range, for example.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is take those batteries and give them a second life, and not throw them away or give them to recycling. We want to take them and make storage units out of those old EV batteries. So that's our idea, and we think that taking those batteries will actually be much cheaper than to do a whole recycling and manufacturing of new batteries, or creating new batteries out of a pure new resources. And that's going to be a bigger and bigger issue in the future as well, in terms of an environmental issue with a lot of EV batteries. Just looking at how many new electrical vehicles is going out of the market, and how many of them are all manufacturers is doing EVs basically, and they will get old, and we'll have a huge pile of old batteries that we need to do something of. And I think that this is a very, very good thing. And since we actually are going to do a virtual power plant, we actually want to have as much storage as possible. So we can actually give those batteries to our customers in a subscription, where we can guarantee them a minimum amount of storage. But if we give them a little bit more, they don't have to pay for that more energy. We'll still use that in the virtual power plant, which will in the end be beneficial for the customer anyway.
Yeah. So it's like you're creating something like solar energy powered circular economy.
Yeah, you can say that.
Wow.
And we are actually already talking with companies that are building car charging infrastructure. And what we want to do, because it doesn't make sense if you are really want to be eco and have an electrical vehicle, you don't want to go to a EV charger which is powered by coal energy, you know. So they want to have green energy, and we can sell that energy to the EV charging network. But if one of our customers is going there and charging their car, we will be able to kind of he can use his own energy in that charging station, and he will not be able he won't be forced to pay for the energy because he actually produced it. So so that's actually becoming a true ecosystem for our customers.
A win-win for all the parties in the equation.
We hope so.
Including electric vehicles, that behind the first wave of overall optimism and excitement, there will be a day when, just to say, unnecessary, non-effective already batteries will be just dumped where? Africa, Asia, and this will not make EV owners happy, of course.
Yeah.
Interesting. Out of curiosity, how long does it take a car battery to become ineffective for a car and already an interesting resource for you?
So I don't think that that's an easy question to answer, because you have different cars, different batteries, and also the usage, how you use the battery or the car, so will affect a lot. But I think it's a matter of maybe 8 to 10 years or above 100,000 kilometers of that you have traveled with the car. I think that's the point where you start to have noticeable decrease in the performance of the battery. But again, it depends on if you're using the car a lot and you're doing a lot of charging cycles, that will shorten the time. But I don't have a very simple answer to that.
What I want to say is, even if it's between 5 and 10 years, something like that, electric vehicles will grow in popularity and affordability and so on. So with the increase of the electric vehicle fleet, at some point, the secondary battery market could grow, if not exponentially, but by a big factor, basically, of intensity. And that might coincide more or less with, if all goes well, of course, with the SunRoof expansion and need for storage of the energy, right?
Exactly. We think so. We think that we will probably be one of those companies that shows that this is possible. It makes sense. And as you say, today, because you have had electrical vehicles for some time now, and you have Nissan Leaf being on the market quite long, so we have enough of those batteries to do this with. But as you say, we will grow very quickly, but the EV market is growing even quicker. So we won't save the earth, but I'm sure that we can inspire others to do the same. And we hope to also do a significant part ourselves.
And just to finish this topic, I think the other benefit from using car batteries is also the design. They are designed to be flat and not to take up too much space in the car, on the car, which if you put them vertically, basically helps you to place them nicely in any house or, primary or secondary location, let's say, level.
So, absolutely. I think, so what we are developing right now is a racking system where we can actually put different types of batteries in a same rack. So you can actually get I don't know, a mix of Porsche Taycan battery and and a Nissan Leaf maybe. But I would really like to have an exposed battery, as the battery is in the Polestar car. I don't know if you know the brand Polestar. It's a quite new brand it's a sub brand from Volvo, and they make beautiful cars, amazing. Like and they're winning a lot of awards. They've done a tremendous job with the car. And if you look at the Polestar 1, the first car, it's actually a hybrid, but when you open the trunk and look in the back, there's a plexi windshield where you can actually see cables and parts of the battery, and that looks really amazing. And I would really love to have such a beautiful thing on my wall in my house.
Let's move on to second round, competition landscape and competitors. There are a couple, more and more will appear along the way, and definitely one of the companies has proven the concept and did the POC kind of workload for you. Definitely, we cannot go into this conversation without Tesla and SunRoof. Do you still consider them a strong competitor, or at least in Europe alone?
So for sure, Tesla is a company that has a lot of goodwill in the brand. They have an amazing brand. They can attract amazing people. I don't think they have issue with capital. So for sure, that's a brilliant competitor. And actually, I would say that Tesla is probably the most direct competitor to us, because if you think about what we want to do, so having the roof, having a storage, and we want to provide also with partnership cars, connect all of them into one system and sell the energy. That's exactly what Tesla is doing. But the difference is that Tesla, they do their own roof, they do their own batteries, they do their own cars, and so they do everything themselves. So I would say that as of a competitor in our space, however you would call the space we are in, they are the Apple of that space, because they have everything their own, seamlessly integrated and very beautiful, but also very expensive. And we on the other side, we will not sell the cars. We hope to have partnership with Porsche, with Polestar, with Nissan, and all other car manufacturers with different EVs. With the batteries, we will use their batteries, so we will not create our own batteries, and so on. So I would say that we are more of a Microsoft in that area. So you have Apple versus Microsoft in these terms. Then, of course, if you look at every kind of level, then we also have different competitors. We have in Germany Next Kraftwerke, which is doing virtual power plant software, but they're doing for large scale stuff. And then you have in the roof segment, you also have competitors except Tesla. We have Swedish Svea Solar, which is a kind of cool company, and you have also Swedish Soltech Energy. In Poland, you have ML System. So you have a few of those competitors, but they are doing kind of one thing out of a whole kind of the whole thing that we are looking at. So so for sure, there will be a lot. And actually, with Tesla, there's another fun fact is that Elon Musk actually acquired his cousin's company, because Solar City, as it was in the beginning, it was his cousin. And you can say it's almost the same with SunRoof, because my brother actually started the company, but I've invested in it and acquired a lot of shares and taking over it. So, so yeah, watch out, Elon.
yeah, there's definitely lots of parallels in your experience. And you also mentioned somewhere that your solution is basically cheaper for client.
Yes.
As well. And there's still potential. There's still potential, I understand, to become more effective, price-wise, right?
Yeah. So, in the core of the electricity power production technology, if you call it like that, you have Tesla using a thin foil solution, and we are using a monocrystalline silicon-based solution. So they are very different in terms of how you produce them and the efficiency. And the silicon-based solar cells that we use, that's what you have in all the solar panels all over the world. Like that's mass product, that's the highest efficiency and so on. But it has it's also its drawbacks. On the other side, you have the thin foil, and you have positive things that it's less, it's less kind of, if you have shadings coming on the roof and so on, it doesn't really, make such a big effect of that. And you have it more kind of flexible, so you can do a little bit more nicer designs of different things. But on the other side, it's less efficient per square meter, and it's also quite expensive still to produce. So you still have kind of a double negative effect from an economical perspective, because it's more expensive and less efficient. So it will take, I actually don't know if they ever will come close or to silicon-based, because silicon-based solar cells are still developed anyway. You have, of course, a maximum of how much efficiency you physically can get out of that. But we have ideas also how to increase the power production from roofs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. And how would you say, how future-proof are your current solutions, basically? Are you ready to implement now, or are you thinking about this future-proofing, let's say, the solution, and to take into consideration the new technologies in the PV kind of industry?
Absolutely. So from one perspective, the roof today is producing more energy than the house needs. So it's a question of, isn't that future-proof enough? But let's say we come up with something even better, even more powerful, and you could earn even more from your roof. The system is very simple, so it's quite easy to take off one module and put there another one. So yes, I would say it's very easy to remove the roof or remove one module if it's broke or something. I think so. But on the other hand, I don't think that you actually need to do that. And we're working on the system to actually make you could say that the roof is actually in the future now, because we don't have the virtual power plant connected yet. And there's no virtual power plant as we know of on Earth that connects small scale residential roofs. So in that sense, I would say that the roof is already future-proof and a little bit ahead.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Let's move on to round 3, companies' ups and downs, successes and failures. What would you say is the biggest success of the company this year? Let's say beyond investment, I mean beyond the successful funding round. We'll cover this in the next parts of the podcast. Other than that, what's the biggest success?
So the absolute number one is that we've assembled a fantastic team, both of a fantastic team of co-founders, but also a great team of new employees that have joined SunRoof and started to do a lot of different amazing stuff. And it's Sweden, Poland, Germany. So I would say that's number one, and it dwarfs everything else.
And this breakthrough in team building was in 2020, I understand, right?
Yeah. So if I would back a little bit with the company, so my brother started this, and he's a construction engineer, and he created the first roof, and then he started that as a side project to his construction company with some other guys. And at some point I invested, and they started to grow the business a little bit. but it was not really the right team, at least not for what I would like to do with the company. So during 2019, I actually bought out all other shareholders in the company except my brother. And then I started to assemble a new team that would like to create a unicorn really, really fast. And I got a lot of great people on board to join as co-founders that also invested some, and we started to build it. So, and that's people that has done amazing companies before, serial entrepreneurs, people that has worked for Google, for Rocket Internet, and so on. So we have a lot of experience now in the company. We actually calculated, so the combined exits or the combined value of the companies that the co-founders has done is above 20 billion euros. So I think that's an amazing team. And actually, when we talk with investors, one very common question I get is that are they actually engaged in the company? Because usually you have such an
you read my mind. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the case? Are they involved 100%?
Yes, absolutely. I would say much more than 100%. And the question is, because usually you have one or two founders, and then you might have advisors with a lot of experience, and not so many people very, very experienced working operationally. But I think I had a lot of luck in terms of timing, because two of those founders, they actually had kind of quit or ended some projects, and they have had this time of kind of free time to think a little bit of what's next, and starting to build appetite to do a new venture again, and having very large ambitions to do that.
Yeah.
And I think coming with SunRoof, the idea, the vision, and the market, I think everyone sees the potential, and actually not only potential for a unicorn. We think that both just the roofs is a unicorn potential in the business. Then if you add on top of that with the storage, that's another unicorn business. And then if you put on top of that the electricity, then it's another unicorn. So we think that it's actually a decacorn potential in the business, and that's our very, very large ambitions, and that's what we are aiming for, and we hope to get as close as possible.
Yeah. Just for regular viewers, we are now combining a couple of rounds here about the company and company's ups and downs. And while we are on the team, let's just go ahead and mention them. So there's Lech Kaniuk, serial entrepreneur and investor and businessman, created lots of wonderful businesses. You can read whole Wikipedia articles definitely about Lech. There's also Rafał Potecki. The interesting fact about Rafał I found is that he was the first one to introduce to Poland dial-up internet in 1993, as far back. And he also launched the Google Campus Warsaw. And then you have Marek Złysłowski, a tech entrepreneur mostly working in Africa. Is that so? Yeah,
exactly. We have others as well, maybe less known profiles, but also very successful entrepreneurs or people who worked with me. So
as co-founders or team members?
Co-founders. So
interesting.
We have also Martin Szczepankowski. He's a Polish guy. He's a lawyer from kind of background. Is lawyer, but he never worked as a lawyer because he's just too entrepreneurial, I guess. And he was with me in Delivery Hero, and then also when I invested and was operational in iTaxi, he was as well there. So had luck to actually have the possibility to kind of also have a good timing that he wanted to join. And we have Johan Lycke von Sydow with us as well, and he's also done amazing stuff, but more of a corporate CFO guy, but a lot of experience in this area. We have also Eric, a guy that has done a lot of things in Scandinavia, also built technology company successfully. So and my brother as well.
Meaning you have a team of 7 co-founders, 6, 7, 7 co-founders, right?
Yeah, that's we're a large team, but we also want to do a lot. And I think the difference, also here is that when I was assembling this team, it has been assembled with a lot of, it has been thoughtfully done, because you have a very large diversity of people, very successful, but from different areas and different networks and so on. So it's I think that's what makes investors very confused, that how's that possible. But as I said, I think it's both thinking what will a company that will grow super fast need internationally.
Yeah.
And how should we make this as successful as possible and kind of give the odds the best chances. And from my experience, the people are number one. So I took some time to assemble the team, but I mean when we start to get 1 or 2 of those guys on board, it's very easy to onboard another guys as well. So.
Yeah. Like in football, when a a football team is composed of like superstars, then it does not always work properly or function properly. So you want to say your team of superstars is working effectively and functions properly, and the performance will be improving, right?
So it's a very interesting point that you're actually mentioning, and I think that we are very aware of a lot of kind of people dynamics, let's call it like that. And what we do, and that we do that with everyone that we employ actually in the company, we are actually doing this these tests of kind of profiling the person's personality, and we kind of get to know the people, and also that the people get to know themselves, so that we actually do profiling of the people's personality to be able to understand people better and function with them better, and also adjust our communication better. So for example, I am a person which is very goal oriented and I want things very short and in bullet points. And you might have other members that they want to talk a lot and explain. And when those 2 people meet, the one that talks a lot, he has to know that I don't want all that information. I want the essence and very short. But I also have to understand that this other person has, he has to talk a lot, and then I have to give him the room to talk a little bit as well.
Yeah, very Swedish approach, I should say, probably. And if it's not a secret, what tests do you prefer, or you're using mostly? Personality, I understand, personality evaluation or assessment tests.
Our recruitment manager and Rafa is actually doing those. I don't remember the McQuake, I think is one of the tools.
Okay. Just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
I will ask, maybe in a little bit of a provocative mood, so to say. Using personality tests is probably a sign of a corporate mentality. Do you use them just because you are used to them, having worked in like big, large corporations, or do you think they are doing their job in like saving you from potential conflicts and saving you time for recruitment process as well? Like what's? So
if I was part of the co-founders of what today is Delivery Hero, and Delivery Hero is today a massive corporate company, and I've worked also in other ones, and I would say that I don't like the corporate's negative side with a lot of bureaucracy and processes and stuff like this. So I don't like that part. But on the other hand, if we want to make a scaling machine, which is very easy to scale, or it's easier to scale, you need to set different things in processes so that you can do that in a kind of repeatable thing. And that is a little bit more of a corporate thing. So we are actually we start to have a few of those corporate treats, I would say quite early, if you look at the time that we have worked. But I think that's necessary for us to become a little bit corporate in different areas because of the growth rate we are having, but also that we plan to do an IPO within 3 to 5 years. And to be IPO ready, we need to have a lot of processes and stuff like that in place. So, but to answer you about the HR part, I would say that's absolutely nothing to do with trying to be a corporate or getting those structures or being used to them. That's because we really understand that building a large successful company is all about having great people on board and recruiting well and doing good recruitment so that you kind of don't have high turnover or you do misrecruitments and so on. And that's the reason why we actually have a very corporate recruitment process.
Mm-hmm. Just like getting ready for the massive scale up, right, of the company right now. Okay, interesting. Speaking of the team, you managed to hire a CEO for Germany from Tesla Powerwall business, the Robert Bruchner, right? He was, I guess, sales director for Tesla, right? Powerwall business. Out of curiosity, did you headhunt him or poach from Tesla, or that was again a window of opportunity for you to attract him?
We did a direct search.
Wow, interesting.
And contacted him directly, and he got very excited with what we want to do. So I guess
that alone should make lots of future investors, at least, think hard before saying no to you, right? Interesting. With this, let's wrap up round 3 and 4. We will skip failures, or maybe if you have something to share on the failure side, maybe your own mistake, that would be of interest as well.
So I think we're doing, failures on a daily basis. Fortunately, I think the major failures has been very early stage, so more than a year ago, and partially also with the people that got involved in the company back in the days, I would say.
Okay.
But so those failures, we've turned that into a success by, buying them out and introducing a new team. But so for sure, those early stage, there has been a lot of failures. Also, choosing wrong partners to work with. But I would say failures are. It's a natural and integrated part of developing a company, and I'm super sure we will do a lot of failures, and we're growing very fast. So what we also have failed is, for example, on a technological side, we've also failed a little bit on that organizational part. So we'll recruit new people in tech and so on. So but I think I don't see those as big failures. I see them as natural failures in everyday business that everyone has, that is an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I understand. You treat them as lemon juice makers treat lemons, right?
Yeah, and I mean, so we want to do something really, really large, like really, truly an international company, not only in Europe but across most continents. We want to do a lot of innovations, and we, as the co-founders, we have appetite to really create a company that is really has a unicorn status. And what we also has said is that we will give it this decade. So starting, you could say we kind of have a new start with SunRoof 2020.
Okay.
And giving it this decade gives also a lot of perspective. So in terms of what we want to do and the time frame we also giving it, I think the failures we're having, they are quite small.
And again, the fact that you are serial entrepreneur and with large scale businesses and visible businesses and definitely known companies and so on, just makes you immune to failures. What I mean, immune to negative reactions to failures, right? And this really helps psychologically. Any failure, any like hiccup, not to beep us out, hides some kind of opportunity somewhere there, deep, right?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix, of if I look back, there have been so many failures, but at the end, if you're resilient and continue, you can achieve a lot of success, although all of those failures. And all of those failures are giving a lot of learning opportunities as well. So kind of just accepting that there will be failures all like always, there will be failures. And that's I think that kind of creates this, as you say, an immunity to kind of not be depressed by them. I think that's part, but I also think that to be an entrepreneur, you also have to have this kind of naive, hopeful dream that this future will be so fantastic that motivates you so much that not even failures can stop you. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that's kind of keeps you going as an entrepreneur, that your vision of what you're doing and the feeling that even if you're failing, you're still moving forward. You're still kind of taking those small steps forward, and you're kind of getting closer and closer to that vision that is motivating. And also, like we are very open. All of the co-founders, what we are doing today is new to everyone. And that's also something that is very kind of liberating in a sense, because we openly say that, hey, we don't know how this works, or how should we sell solar roofs? No one has sold solar roofs before. So we just have to try different things. And when you are not knowing if something works and you're trying, and failure is obviously a part of your also success of getting to know the business. So
I think it's of like utmost importance, to make sure everybody again makes has a takeaway here. To be a successful entrepreneur, I understand this is what you say. You have to allow yourself to be sometimes blind to all the really hardships and difficult obstacles. Allow yourself to be sometimes, just to say, naive, or let's put it, stupid enough not to rationally analyze the problems you have in front of you. And this is critical, definitely. Rationalizing and analyzing, you not only paralyze yourself, you just make things impossible that are hardly doable in the first place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you also said that lack of industry knowledge can be an advantage as well.
I think so. I mean, we are not constrained by knowing how stuff should be, and we just we have a vision, and we just try to make it work. And maybe we're thinking, in new paths because we don't know how regular companies are thinking. And I think we can approach everything in a more exploratory way. So and that's how we have evolved, basically. So when we created a few roofs and we see that they are producing more energy than the house needs, it's like, maybe we should do something with that, because it makes so much more sense to sell a product which we can actually then also monetize on a monthly basis, year over year over year, than just sell a product and hope that the customer after 40 years, when he wants to change the roof, he comes back to us. You know, the frequency will so low, so it will be basically a one-off sale, and then you've ended your relationship with the customer. And I think that would be so boring. And we see the opportunity to build, a business which is, having a relationship with the customer for so many years, and so the lifetime value is very high. And then when you actually know that the relationship with the customer should be for the next 30, 40 years, then I think it's also something that you really want to make sure that those 30, 40 years will be happy years with the customers, and he's happy with your roof, and not, we know so many companies for example, in Poland, selling PV installations, which are just popping up from the woods. I don't know from where they are popping up. And they have so bad quality on the work, because they know that they are selling. They will just, go out there and they will never meet the customer again, and then they just leave the customer. And knowing that we will kind of never leave the customer, that's something I think we will also make into one of our USPs as a company, because the customer will know that we will be there. And if we are actually making money also on the energy that we are selling for the customer, that makes us very interested to to make sure that his or her roof is actually working well and producing a lot of energy. So I think that this kind of becomes a very, very attractive proposition that we are coming with.
So the business model itself makes it very important and critical to be of the highest customer service, best practices and standards in the company as well, from the very beginning, definitely.
Yeah.
With this, let's move on to final round. Round 5, we call this Formula F3, funding for the future. So let's see where you stand right now in terms of investment and what's the current situation. Let me just kick in with announcing or just mentioning that you closed late seed round at 2 million euros, I understand. And funds like Smoke Ventures, LT Capital, EIT, In Energy, Knowledge Hub, and some business angels as well. This is all, of course, impressive during 2020 COVID times and so on. But there's another interesting facet, let's say, for this round. All of this was remote.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. How do you do remote funding closing?
So yeah, it has been very truly a unique fundraising. So actually, what the first thing which was, I think, very unique was that Smoke, they committed their ticket after 1 hour after I've sent the pitch deck. So I already had the first investor after 1 hour after sending the pitch deck. Usually it takes like 6 months to but I think with a co-founder team, I think that helps a lot, obviously. So yeah, and I think that since we're a Swedish company, we can do a lot of different things, remote as well, signing and so on. So and I think this was quite early, but many of the VCs and so on, they started to get used to video conference quite quickly. So I think that was a very interesting thing that we actually managed to do that completely remote, basically, and yeah, it was quite specific. But we are actually closing our next round already.
Yes, interesting.
So I think that we will close another 4 million euro in January. And we have a few VCs that have even bigger appetite, so they are starting to kind of pile up before our Series A round. So we want to really do a big Series A round, and that will probably be in end of 2021.
Okay.
So we will start off the year with another 4 million euro, and we are looking to raise another 20 million euro by end of next year.
Series A, 20 million euros by end of 2021. That's the idea, right? What's the projected MRR, if we can speak of any MRR by then, just before Series A? Do you have any like range maybe or forecast?
Yeah, so we're actually right now in a re-forecasting process.
Okay.
Because we actually have better productivity of our sales teams than we had in the previous budget. So we actually, what we budgeted in the beginning of this year, we actually have doubled that by this year. So
okay.
So the productivity is better. So we're actually working on the updated, but I would say that we will, by the Series A round, we will cross the 100 million euro valuation.
100 million euro valuation by end of 2021. Okay. What are your expectations from, let's say, Series A investors beyond money?
So we're looking at two types of investors. One is investors that can either help us accelerate in the energy sector. And with the acceleration, it doesn't necessarily mean that they should, be an energy company and connect, us to them or something like that. But we see a few VCs that are investing actively in the energy sector, so in second life battery solutions or different tech companies within the tech energy sector. And that's very interesting for us because we will probably grow partially also with acquisitions. So we want to kind of have a broad radar on different things, what's happening in terms of tech. And so that will be one type of VC that would be very interesting, that has a broad spectrum of a portfolio companies already, but also radar on new startups coming up that we can maybe partner up with, absorb, acquire, invest in. The other one is, or preferably maybe both, is also an investor that can be very helpful with the Series B round. So with helpful in Series B round, we see that in kind of two different ways. One way is that they can, of course, do a follow-on round, which is significant, so that we can start from something and not from zero. And the other one is that they can also introduce us to even bigger VCs that they can start to do much larger tickets as well. We're also looking at United States, so it might be that we would really like to have a VC investing that has a lot of contacts with really good VCs with good track record in United States. So yeah, so I would say that that's the three things we're mainly looking at.
So the bridge round of 4 million euros just before Series A, what's the key deliverables you hope to achieve with that in 2021?
So the main deliverable will be that we will grow 10x within 10 to 12 months. That's our main focus, and that we will show that we can grow that in Sweden, Poland, and Germany.
Yes,
that's the main thing. Yeah.
Wow, interesting. A 10x growth for the next year. Interesting. Lech, thanks a lot. That's been a really, really interesting conversation. We definitely could go on forever, and I specifically try to keep us away from some topics that would probably keep you talking for hours and hours, and we would never finish this conversation. Having in mind we're recording this somewhere mid-December 2020, do you have any wishes for the audience in this festive season?
Well, stay safe and stay healthy, and don't forget about trying to realize your dreams.
Realize your dreams, everyone, but first define them.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you see, the almost legendary Lech Kaniuk has embarked into a new startup adventure. This company seems to be powered not only by the sun, but also by the stars in the team and by Lech's own sky-high ambitions. In terms of B2C solar panels, Elon Musk looks like Lech's eventual direct competitor, at least in some geographies, like the European Union in the short or midterm. And in a way, Elon Musk is a dream sparring partner, and I wish SunRoof and Lech to come out of this sparring as a winner, of course. That's it for today, folks. All the best. Bye-bye.